So, the other night I was sitting around in bed looking at my iPad, looking at Reddit, just browsing through, and I was on the popular section and I came across this image. Now, the post was titled, "Leak Upcoming Games for Nintendo Switch. Translate to make sense of it." And it is a single image with no branding other than the Nintendo logo and no copyright. No, it's not a slide or anything from a slideshow. It is a list of games written in Japanese with the Nintendo logo at the top. So we have no idea where this came from. We don't know if it's someone just threw it together in Microsoft Paint in 5 minutes, or if this came off of some sort of Nintendo document, but it has a list of games on it in Japanese, and it's supposedly a list of games coming from the Nintendo Switch. So I wanted to take a look at it and see what we had heard about any of the games on the list to see if maybe this could be an upcoming release list of games. So we're going to take a look quick at it here. I've pulled up as many relevant articles as I could get to. Got the list here. So we'll go through this list one at a time and take a look at anything I can find about it. And at the end, I'll decide whether or not I think this is something that will actually be real. So let's move forward on this first one. So the first game listed is Nintendo Super Mario Galaxy HD Collection with improved motion control. By the way, these translations are coming off of Google Translate, so some of them aren't perfect. I can also read some of the Japanese, so I'll try to fill it in best I can. So yes, Super Mario Galaxy HD Collection. So assuming that would mean 1 and 2 in the same package. I think there is some credence to this one, starting right off with it. There have been some interesting developments with Super Mario Galaxy in the past couple of years. The most notable one being that last summer on the Nvidia Shield TV, only in China, Super Mario Galaxy was re-released in HD on that. Now, I think this indicates, one, that there is a working HD port of Mario Galaxy in existence that Nintendo has, and that the interesting thing is that the Nintendo Switch runs off of Nvidia hardware, and this was on a Nvidia device. So it's clear that Nintendo and Nvidia clearly have, like, you know, they talk a lot, they have really an active working relationship. This is pretty obvious. But I think because it was on a Nvidia device, I think that would make a lot of sense that that was a sort of like tech demo, and then they would bring it over to the Switch. So ever since this was announced, I had a feeling that we might see this coming to the Switch. There was another article saying that they had grabbed the trademarks for Mario Galaxy again for this, like, potentially for the Switch. So this is not a completely unknown, out of nowhere rumor that, you know, I think something like Super Mario Galaxy on the Switch is very possible. Now the next one is where we start to get interesting. So it's listed as Biohazard 5, and for those who don't know, Biohazard 5 is Resident Evil 5. Biohazard 5 is the name of it in Japan. I think before last year, some people probably would have said that this wasn't going to happen, but in October of last year, we found out that Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 1, and Resident Evil 0 were coming to the Switch. So now that they've set that precedent, this wouldn't surprise me at all if Resident Evil 5 came to the Switch. Now, the one interesting thing, I don't know if there's already a Resident Evil 5 remaster. So there is already also a remaster that has already been made, so it could have easily just been ported over to the Switch, and with them porting the other versions over and remakes, I would not be surprised at all to see Resident Evil 5 make its way to Switch. So the next one had a little bit of a rumor late last year, and then at the most recent Direct also, but the one that got everyone's attention was that right before the Game Awards in December, there was a Swedish retailer by the name of iNet that had listed Metroid Prime Trilogy as being on the Switch, and that's the next game on this list, is the Metroid Prime HD Trilogy. So everyone thought it was going to end up at the Game Awards, but it wasn't at the Game Awards. It was not announced at the Game Awards. Many people thought that, okay, it'll be announced at the next Direct. Not announced at the next Direct. So it's kind of been in the backlog, like, I would think a lot of people would say they believe that it exists, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen an announcement yet. Right now, it's all speculation. I think it's pretty safe to assume that they'd want to release it in some way because Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. And this makes me think they might be waiting to give more information on Metroid Prime 4 before they announce the trilogy. So, you know, next time they talk about Metroid Prime 4, it'll be something like, we've got Metroid Prime 4, and then here's the trilogy for Switch. Metroid Prime 4 2020 or whatever. To me, that makes perfect sense because it's more of like a marketing thing that way, where it's like, yeah, of course, you want to build hype for the new game by releasing all the old games on the current platform. I think that makes perfect sense. So the next game is the Spyro Reignited trilogy. It's listed as Refiring, but I think that's just a bit of a mistranslation. This rumor is a little more recent, actually. This article is from the 10th of February this year. And Gematsu reported that GameStop Germany's website had a listing for Spyro Reignited Trilogy on their website. I think this makes perfect sense. There was also the Crash Trilogy, which I believe people thought as soon as the Spyro Trilogy was announced that it was going to get the same treatment as the Crash Bandicoot Trilogy, where it would be PS4 exclusive for roughly 1 year and then come to all the other platforms, PC, Xbox, and Switch after that 1 year. So yes, the Crash Bandicoot trilogy did make its way to that. So I would not be surprised to see Spyro do the same thing. So far down this list, like, I can see almost all of these being on Switch at some point. You know, we start to get a little iffy toward the bottom here, but none of these yet surprise me. Like, there's been precedent for almost everyone we've seen so far, and this is 5 of the 11 or 12 games on the list. So far, I think we're looking pretty okay here, but let's keep moving. So up next is Super Mario 3D Collection, which is listed as having Super Mario 3D World and 3D Land, which would obviously be ported to the Switch. This one, I have seen from my brief research, I saw no rumors or anything of this. Like, other than people making speculation videos on YouTube, there weren't any reported rumors. There wasn't a listing somewhere. This one is completely unannounced, unknown, unheard of, whatever we want to call it. That being said, Nintendo has been kind of following this trend of bringing popular first-party titles from the Wii U over to the Switch. Most recent being like Hyrule Warriors Remastered or Definitive Edition. I would not be surprised at all to see 3D World come over. 3D Land is a little bit more of a surprise, I think, because it's a 3DS game. So they would have to port it and up-res it and, you know, make it more playable on the Switch. So, not that I think it's impossible. It's very similar to 3D World. But it doesn't exist right now in like a console format, so that's kind of interesting. But I would say not surprising, but we haven't heard anything, so not like as guaranteed as some of the other ones. Up next is an interesting one, and one I'm personally invested in, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 collection. That would be awesome. This is another one where there aren't really any rumors directly related to it, but I do see one post on Reset Era. Supposedly Square Enix has been interested in having it on Nintendo Switch. This is completely, like, I don't have a source for this. This is a Reset Era thread. This is hardly a definitive source, but I would not be surprised, honestly. This is another thing where, for some reason, I feel like this is not surprising. There were rumors for a long time that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be on Switch, but that hasn't shown, obviously, and the game's out, so if that happens, it'll be at a later date. But with how old Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are, even though they're HD versions, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get those running on Switch. My one worry about that would be that they aren't able to get the game running at 60 FPS and keeping it locked and keeping it, you know, nice. Because that's one of the reasons the HD collections are so nice, is that they run so well and they just are very optimized. It's really like the definitive version of the game. And I don't want the definitive version of the games to end up on a platform that can't run the definitive version. That would kind of be like a kick in the shins. However, I think it's very possible that this could end up on Switch. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. So now we get to a weird one here. And I don't have too much to touch on for this one because it's hard to speculate about something that I haven't heard of at all. This one is listed as the Nintendo Switch Paper Mario. Like, it's not a port. It's not a port of Super Paper Mario or any of the old ones. This appears to be a tentative Paper Mario title for the Nintendo Switch that doesn't exist yet. And that's interesting to me. The last Paper Mario game that came out was on the Wii U with Color Splash, so I would have thought before anything else they would have ported Color Splash to the Switch, considering it seems like they're, like I said before, they seem pretty interested in porting over their old first-party titles to the Switch from the Wii U because of poor sales, and obviously, I think that makes perfect sense. There's a lot of games on Wii U that a lot of people who own Switches didn't get to play, so... But the fact that this might be like a whole new game, I mean, you know, it's been it was released in October 2016, so that's almost 2.5 years at this point. Like, that's enough of a development cycle for another game. So this one is the first one that I've been like, that's interesting that they would put this on a list like this, because most of the other stuff has seemed like re-releases, and I think actually, yeah, everything else on the list has been re-releases up to this point. This is the only new game so far. So now we get back to one that has had some leaks and some rumors. Not leaks, but rumors. It's had rumors and it's had some buzz. So a few months ago, Atlus teased Persona 5 R. And we have no idea what Persona 5 R is yet. We have no idea if it's an updated version like Persona 4 Golden. We don't know if it's some sort of spin-off. We don't know what it is. It's theorized that it's going to be some sort of updated version of the regular game, just based on the little teaser they gave us. It shows the Shibuya area. There's some dialogue. So I would say pretty safe bet to say that it is going to be the same Persona 5, but updated in some way. There's been rumors about female Joker being a playable character. There's rumors about Hifumi joining the party instead of being just a confidant, so things like that, but we don't know what it is yet, and they were supposed to find out this month, and this is why I think this leak is worth talking about, because Persona 5 Switch version is listed on this list, and as of right now, that is not announced. We know that Persona 5 R, whatever it is, will be on PlayStation, because the trailer for it went up on the PlayStation channel on YouTube, and there's been rumors for the past couple months about there's going to be Persona 5 on Switch. Joker is in Smash, so for me, that's like a huge indicator that Persona will end up on Switch. But as of right now, we haven't heard anything officially. The reason this is interesting is because this month, within, I believe, about a week and a half of this recording, we're supposed to find out what Persona 5 R is. And I have a feeling when they reveal it and talk about what it's actually going to be, they're going to say, and it's for these consoles. And the other interesting thing quick to note about that is that Atlus has been releasing stuff on PC recently, notably a re-release of Catherine, the original version, just out of completely nowhere, onto Steam. So I have a feeling that we may end up seeing Persona 5 R end up on PS4, Switch, and PC, and maybe Xbox even. And I want to know, because with these leaks, sometimes once one or two dominoes is knocked down and you know that it's true, so like, you know, once we find out if Persona is on Switch and if we find out one of these other ones is going to be on Switch, then we might have a confirmed leak at that point. So you kind of got to knock them down one at a time and see if they start lining up. Now, in the case of some leaks, that's not always true. Obviously, a recent notable one would be the Grinch leak for Smash, where many characters were leaked on a fake promotional material, and notably one of the leaked characters was Ken, and there was a leak on the subreddit a few weeks prior to that showing gameplay of Ken. Now, ironically, there was another leak of Ken separately. I believe that one was by VergeBen. That one leaked Ken and Incineroar, and that was the one that ended up being true. So it's not always guaranteed, but when the dominoes start to fall down, you can get a little more of a grasp of like, okay, this might be true. So within, 2 weeks of this, of what I'm posting right now, we might know if this has a chance to be real, because the opposite can happen. As soon as one is deconfirmed, usually that knocks the whole thing down. So, we'll just have to see. So up next is Cuphead. There's 2 more games. Cuphead is the next one. Interesting to see Cuphead, kind of the only indie game so far listed here. I did find a rumor about this. So the thing to note about Cuphead is that Cuphead was released as a Microsoft game. I believe it was published by Microsoft. Now, in the past couple weeks, there's been rumors that Xbox is going to be bringing something, potentially Game Pass, to Switch, potentially with some of its games. I would not be surprised to see Cuphead come with that, because I know people have been asking for Cuphead on Switch for however long, but with that being a move that Xbox seems to be making, I don't think it would be too out of the realm at all for them to say, okay, it's on Game Pass, we'll send it over to the Switch. It's an indie game, we can make it work, and I'm sure it'll work fine on the Switch. So I can see perfectly how this could end up on the Switch, with that being a development recently. And the last game we come to is also another interesting one, Scalebound. So this one is really interesting. So a few years ago, there was an Xbox One exclusive in development by Platinum Games, people who made Bayonetta, Nier, all those, that they were going to be having an Xbox One exclusive game called Scalebound about dragons. My voice just cracked. It was canceled by Microsoft for whatever reason. Development hell was, I believe, the believed reason that it was canceled. And it was shelved. It was shelved, and we stopped hearing about it until like 2 weeks ago, when a rumor surfaced that Nintendo was working with Platinum to revive Scalebound and put it on the Switch. And I don't know if I think that this gives credence to the leak, or if this makes it completely fake, because I think there is some, there's some evidence this could be true. Nintendo and Platinum clearly have a good working relationship, with Nintendo helping them publish Bayonetta, Bayonetta 2 and 3. And also considering this whole Xbox, Nintendo Xbox crossover, maybe Microsoft was like, we'll send the rights over to you if you can get it made, get it done, sure. We'll put it on Game Pass or something like that. Maybe there's some sort of, I have a feeling there's some sort of working agreement going on with Nintendo and Xbox right now. They've had a lot of positive social media presence between the two companies recently. I think it's a really interesting time for Xbox and Nintendo, as almost seeming like they're going to be crossing over. It's almost like they're leaving PS4 in the corner to do its own thing while they push cross-platform and potentially, cross-publisher relations. So, if the Cuphead thing is real about them passing the rights over to Cuphead, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, if you want to get this thing made, we don't want to sink any more money into it, and we're doing this crossover, maybe we'll send you over the rights to Scalebound and you guys can get it made, go back to Platinum and give them the money to do it. Or, something like that. Yeah, the rumor also had something about, there's a game that Platinum is making that Nintendo is reviving that people won't expect. That was something about how that leak went. I think out of all the games no one would expect, it would probably be a game that was canceled. So there's a lot of things in this little rumor that kind of line up. The interesting thing too is on this leak image, it says canceled originally for Xbox One. So that's pretty interesting to see that on a Nintendo document. Potentially a Nintendo document, we don't know what it is. But, so, what do I think of this? What do I think of this image? Do I think it's real? I do. I want to believe this is real. I will withhold whether or not I actually believe it's real until we get Persona 5R information, because I believe if Persona 5R or whatever it is coming to Switch, I think this is real. I think this will be a real leak. My actual theory on what this is if it's a real image, would be some sort of E3 lineup. I think this is some sort of Nintendo Direct that they're going to publish around E3, or it's the next Nintendo Direct or something. It's going to be the next Nintendo Direct where they announce a bunch of big games, because the last Direct was kind of stuff we already knew, and some other third-party stuff mostly. Like, they didn't even talk about Animal Crossing or Metroid Prime or anything like that. They touched on Smash DLC for, like, less than a minute. So, I have a feeling in the next, like, Nintendo-centric Direct that they're gonna announce a bunch of these. And, you know, with where we are, it's already March, we've already seen a Direct, so we probably won't see another one for at least a month or two. And E3 tends to be when they drop the big Nintendo games. And this has a lot of big Nintendo re-releases. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see this being a list of games that is going to be announced around E3. The other interesting thing about this is that a lot of these games are remasters or remakes of series that haven't really been around for that long. So I think it puts them in a really good position if they want to announce any of these games have a new game in the series. Like, let's just say Super Mario Galaxy, for example, even though we're pretty close off the back of Odyssey, so it's unlikely, but let's just use it as an example. Oh yeah, we got Super Mario Galaxy 3 coming up, and here's Super Mario Galaxy HD Collection on the Switch. Easy marketing right there. I think Metroid Prime HD Trilogy in this leak is going to be exactly what they do. Is here's new information on Metroid Prime 4, and Metroid Prime Trilogy is coming out in a month. And you can play it on Switch. I would not be surprised at all if they did that. And I think it's a perfect way for them to set up some of that stuff for E3. That's pure speculation on my part, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. So yeah, it was pretty interesting to see this leak pop up. I'll leave a link to the Reddit thread in the description. There's not a whole lot of information on it, but you can at least see the image for yourself and take a look at the comments. This was on r/leak threads, and it seems to be a pretty new subreddit, so there's not a whole lot of stuff going on discussing it, but I saw this and I figured there's enough credence to these rumors that I could probably talk about this, because we've heard about a lot of these games on this list. Like, these aren't completely out of left field announcements where we've never heard of them before, ever. You know, it's like, oh yeah, oh, they're making, I don't know, oh yeah, guys, next Smash is coming out this year. Like, it's nothing crazy like that. These are all things that I think a reasonable person could conclude this might come out. And I could see how it could be on the Switch. So yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait and see if Persona 5 ends up being on Switch. Because if it is, I personally am inclined to believe this list, and would expect to see it sometime around E3. So I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes out. Thanks for watching. Check out my Twitter and my Twitch. Links are in the description. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.